There is a moment that almost everyone experiences. Someone says something that hurts you. Your heart starts beating faster. Your mind suddenly becomes louder. You want to reply. You want to prove them wrong. You want to make them feel what you are feeling. And then perhaps 10 minutes later, you regret what you said. You think, why did I react like that? The truth is, your biggest emotional mistakes usually happen in a very small window of time. The few seconds between feeling something and acting on it. And that tiny window is where emotional control is built. Because controlling your emotions does not mean becoming emotionless. It means learning how to feel an emotion without allowing that emotion to make every decision for you. Think about anger. Anger tells you, react now. Fear tells you, run now. Anxiety tells you, something terrible is coming. Jealousy tells you, you are losing something. Sadness tells you, something is wrong. But emotions are not always facts. They are signals, and signals need to be interpreted before they are obeyed. Imagine someone sends you a message. Okay, just 2 words, nothing more. Your brain immediately begins creating a story. They are angry with me. Maybe I did something wrong. They don't respect me anymore. But what if they were simply busy? The message did not create your emotional reaction. Your interpretation did. And this is one of the most powerful ideas in human psychology. Between an event and your response, there is a space. Your emotional freedom lives inside that space. The first step toward controlling your emotions is therefore surprisingly simple. Pause. Not forever. Just for a few seconds. When you feel anger rising, do not immediately send the message. When you feel insulted, do not immediately respond. When you feel anxious, do not immediately believe every thought your mind produces. Take a breath, step away, drink some water, look around the room. Give your nervous system a moment to come down, because when your emotional intensity is high, your ability to think clearly can become weaker. And sometimes the smartest thing you can do is nothing. Silence is not always weakness. Sometimes silence is self-control. But there is another problem. Many people try to control emotions by suppressing them. They say, I shouldn't be angry. I shouldn't be sad. I shouldn't feel jealous. I shouldn't be afraid. But emotions do not disappear simply because you tell yourself they are unacceptable. Sometimes they become stronger. Instead of saying, I shouldn't feel this, try saying, I am feeling this. Why? That small change turns judgment into curiosity. If you are angry, ask, what exactly hurt me? If you are jealous, ask, what do I believe this person has that I want? If you are anxious, ask, what am I afraid will happen? If you are sad, ask, what am I grieving? You are no longer fighting the emotion. You are investigating it. And when you understand an emotion, you gain more control over what happens next. Now imagine another situation. Someone criticizes you in front of other people. Your first instinct is to defend yourself. You want to attack them back. But stop for a moment. Ask yourself, is this criticism actually useful? If it is, learn from it. If it is not, let it pass. Because emotional maturity is not proving that you can win every argument. It is knowing which arguments are not worth entering. There is something else you need to understand. You cannot control everything that happens to you. You cannot control what people say. You cannot control whether someone likes you. You cannot control whether someone leaves. You cannot control whether life gives you what you want. But you can control what you do next. And that distinction can completely change your life. A person insults you. You cannot control the insult. But you can control whether you spend the next 6 hours thinking about it. Someone rejects you. You cannot control their decision. But you can control whether rejection becomes proof that you are worthless. Someone succeeds before you. You cannot control their success. But you can control whether their success becomes inspiration or jealousy. This is where emotional strength begins. Not when life becomes easier, but when you stop giving every external event complete control over your internal world. And there is one psychological habit that can dramatically improve this ability. Name the emotion. Instead of saying, I feel terrible, be specific. I feel embarrassed. I feel rejected. I feel threatened. I feel disappointed. I feel powerless. When you name an emotion accurately, you create psychological distance from it. You are no longer simply drowning inside the feeling. You are observing it. And that difference matters. You can say, I am experiencing anger, instead of, I am anger. You are not your emotion. You are the person experiencing it. And emotions change. Anger rises. Anger peaks. Anger eventually falls. Fear rises. Fear peaks. Fear eventually falls. No emotion stays at maximum intensity forever. So when a powerful emotion appears, remind yourself, this feeling is temporary. I don't need to make a permanent decision based on a temporary state. That sentence can save you from countless mistakes. But emotional control is not built only during emotional moments. It is built before them. Sleep, exercise, healthy routines, time away from constant stimulation, meaningful relationships, personal boundaries. These things influence how well you regulate yourself. A tired mind is often more reactive. A constantly overstimulated mind may struggle with patience. So if you want better emotional control, do not only work on your thoughts. Work on the condition of the person having those thoughts. And finally, learn to accept something most people spend their lives fighting. You will sometimes lose control. You will get angry. You will say something stupid. You will become jealous. You will overthink. You will react emotionally. The goal is not perfection. The goal is recovery. Notice the pattern. Understand what triggered you. Take responsibility. Apologize when necessary. Learn and try again. Because emotional intelligence is not the absence of emotion. It is the ability to choose your behavior even when emotion is screaming for control. The strongest person in the room is not necessarily the loudest. It is not necessarily the person who wins every argument. Sometimes it is the person who could destroy the conversation with one sentence, but chooses silence. The person who feels anger, but chooses patience. The person who feels fear, but chooses courage. The person who feels rejection, but refuses to turn it into self-hatred. That is emotional control. And perhaps the greatest psychological shift is this. You do not have to believe every thought your mind produces. You do not have to obey every emotion you experience. You can feel anger without becoming cruel. You can feel fear without running away. You can feel sadness without believing your life is hopeless. You can feel jealousy without attacking the person you envy. You can feel pain without allowing pain to define who you become. Your emotions are part of you, but they are not your master. So the next time you feel yourself losing control, remember one simple sequence. Pause. Name what you feel. Question the story behind it. Choose your response. Because between what happens to you and what you do about it, there is a small moment. And inside that moment is something incredibly powerful. Choice. Master that moment, and you begin to master yourself.